This needs to be addressed. If you're a cyclist or a pedestrian and you've had problems on these shared paths, what are the issues and what are the answers? 96900 693 13 13 32. It is just dangerous. We have many, many kilometres of shared paths. There is no real speed limit for the cyclists. We're told the average speed of the cyclists on these things is 25 to 30 kilometres an hour. Pedestrians say they are regularly subjected to near misses or worse. And now this. You might have seen it on the TV news last night, but we've looked further at it. A 95-year-old man walking along the Maribyrnong River, beautiful part of Melbourne, struck by cyclists. 95-year-old war veteran, Edgar Scott is his name. Have a listen to his injuries. He's got 5 broken ribs, he has a dislocated shoulder, he has bruised lungs, and he has suspected spinal damage. This is very serious for anybody, but particularly a 95-year-old man. Now, obscenely, it's turned into a bit of a blame game overnight. On social media, some of the cyclists have been attacking the family of this man and attacking the media for reporting it. Now, I want to look at the broader issue of these shared paths. How do they work? Cyclists and pedestrians. 96900 693 13 13 32. There's a dispute in this case about how much the cyclists help. His son and grandson came along. One of the cyclists said he was a doctor and examined the man and then left. That's what we're told. Well, hang on. A 95-year-old man in that sort of trauma, I can't imagine any doctor leaving him until he got better care, like an ambulance or a hospital. Anyway, the vitriol that's spilling out shows a real tension. It's quite obscene, some of it, a real tension between the serious cyclists and the people walking. Shared paths don't work. And let's face it, the pedestrian must always have the right of way. The pedestrian must always be right because they are so vulnerable. I don't know exactly what happened here, but let's start from that basic point. The pedestrian must have the right of way. As I said, the elderly man is Edgar Scott, 95. On the line is his son, Stephen. Hello, Stephen.
Hi, Neil. How you doing?
Most important, how is he? How's he doing?
He's at the moment. He's in the trauma section. He's focusing on his recovery. That's basically where he's at the moment. Yeah, that's where he's at.
Okay, but he's going to be okay.
Yeah, we're really hopeful. Like, well, the biggest concern, I suppose, is the bone breakage. We know that it's hard to heal from rib injuries at the best of times, even if you're a fit, healthy young person.
Yeah.
He's dealing with 5 broken ribs, so this is going to be a real challenge for him.
How long has he been using that area?
We estimate it's about 20 years.
Okay.
He has limited social contact, really, so he looks forward to getting together with his son and more recently his grandson. And it's a social thing. Every Saturday morning they will go out, they'll go for this run, approximately about 10 Ks, I suppose, and then go back and have breakfast and have a chat.
So he knows the area well. Have you got any idea what happened?
I know from talking to my brother who was there, what he said, Dad had only gone halfway on the run and he was on his way back. Michael had completed the run and was coming back as well, so that meant Dad was ahead of him when they were returning. Now, Michael was narrowly missed by these cyclists as well. They came past, his description is at a rapid rate of knots, like a fair click they were going at.
Yeah.
He lost sight of Dad because the cyclist had moved in front of his line of vision, so he couldn't see him anymore. The next thing he knew was when he saw everybody sort of gather around, and he knew something had happened, someone had been hit.
So they did stop to see him?
They did stop, according to what I've heard. Now, apparently, one of the men identified himself as a doctor. He checked Dad, he had a look at him, he'd identified that he had a clear shoulder injury. Apparently there was a bit of bone protrusion there, so he'd spotted that. But what concerned me most was if he is a doctor, I'm not saying he is, this is going by what he said, I'm concerned he didn't check. Dad could have gone into cardiac arrest. There could have been any number of things that could have resulted from this accident.
Was he conscious? Was he in and out of consciousness?
He initially lost consciousness. So I think it was only very briefly that he lost consciousness, and he's actually got quite good recollection of what happened. There may be one or two missing pieces here or there.
Well, did they call an ambulance?
To our knowledge, they didn't.
Yeah,
To our knowledge, nobody made a call.
so what did your brother do? Did he take your dad to hospital?
Yeah, Michael didn't have his mobile phone on him at the time, so once the cyclist had moved on, Michael's son, Cale, he's 12 years old, he stayed with Dad while Michael went and got the car.
Well, what do you think the cyclist should have done? They should have called an ambulance. They should have stayed with him.
Oh, absolutely. I think you don't leave the scene of an accident. I think that's just a social standard. If you knock somebody over in the car park at the supermarket, you would stay with them if they were clearly hurt.
Yeah. Has it unsettled your dad? Does he want them charged? Does he want anything else done?
He's amazing. He doesn't. He's quite happy for this to be raised so that it gets some awareness, but even if charges could be laid, we don't know if they can. He doesn't want that. And in his own words, when he was laying in the hospital bed, he said to me, they're probably nice people, but it's when they get on a bike that something changes. So he doesn't want to pursue any of that. There's no compensation or anything. He's not interested in that. He just wants to move forward and get better again.
Okay. Well, we've got to look at the issue of the shared paths, though, don't we? There seem no controls on them.
Well, having 30 to 40 cyclists riding at breakneck speed on a path that's not much more than a metre wide, it's only ever going to end one way.
Will he go back and walk there again?
Oh, he will. Yeah, before this happened, he was swimming once a week. Yeah, he'll definitely do it. Yeah.
And he's a veteran, is he?
He is. He flew in World War II for a Wellington bomber.
Where?
He was based in the UK.
Yeah, I would have thought so. Gee, if he can survive that, not a lot did. Thank you, Stephen. We'll keep in touch. Stephen Scott, his dad, Edgar, wiped out by bikes on a bike path. Now, the thing that's developing there is the vitriol around it. The social media is just, it's quite obscene, some of the reaction to, it's his fault for being there. A 95-year-old man walking on a path he's entitled to be. I repeat the point. The cyclists have to carry responsibility. The pedestrians must have the right of way.